All right, as we mentioned before the break, a second police officer in Baltimore has been acquitted of all charges in the Freddie Gray death case. So what does this mean for the other officers charged? Let's bring back our legal guys. Avery Friedman, a civil rights attorney and law professor in Cleveland, and Richard Herman, a criminal defense attorney and law professor, joining us from Las Vegas. Okay, so right now we have an acquittal, we have a mistrial, and we have, still other undetermined cases. So Richard, how influential is this outcome of Goodson, which had the most serious of charges, the second-degree depraved heart murder charges, now being acquitted? How does that impact the other pending cases?
Fred, it's devastating. It's an absolutely nuclear explosion. The other cases should not be brought. The only other case that should be brought is a case against Ms. Mosby for her reckless and outrageous prosecutions here. Let me tell you something, Fred. They strategically went after a non-jury trial with Judge Barry Williams, who is black, who is a former district attorney, who investigated police misconduct for the Department of Justice. And after hearing the case, and this is his decision, which I've gone through, it's scathing, Fred. There can be no other cases. This will be the precedent coming forward. The state did not have evidence to prove Goodson had any criminal intent. No showing Goodson gave a rough ride. No showing Gray needed immediate medical care. No showing Goodson intended to harm Gray by failing to secure him in a seatbelt. And no credible evidence presented at this trial that the defendant intended for any crime to occur. This is devastating, Fred. It'll be the law in the following cases. They cannot prosecute anymore. And the city paid $6.4 million without investigating this for a civil resolution. It's outrageous, Fred.
So does that decision, I guess, really put a magnifying glass on a few different potential errors? I mean, you hear that decision. Does it mean that there was an error, that it was a judge as opposed to a jury trial? Does it mean that there was an overcharging in this case and perhaps in the others? Or does it mean a lack of evidence? Or are you in agreement, Richard, that it may mean all of the above?
It could be all, Fred. Certainly it's an overcharging. And most importantly, there was no proper investigation before they brought these charges. The justice system is not for retribution or to prevent riots. You have to have elements of a crime. They did not have that here. This is really bad for Miss Mosby. She failed to attend law school the day they taught law. This is horrible, Fred.
Wow. So Avery, Richard, last word.
Yeah. You can't proceed, Fred. It's over. It's annihilation for the prosecution here. She needs to resign. They need to prosecute her. This is outrageous, Fred.
So and you're saying when a prosecutor loses, particularly when it's high profile, that in and of itself is reason to, move on, be elected out of office, resign?
Yeah, because here she failed to adhere to her duties as a prosecutor. You have to have a chance to win the case, you have to do an investigation, and you have to know the elements of a crime. You can't just indict to prevent a riot, which is exactly, transparently what she did here.
That's not true.
All right. We're going to leave it right there, gentlemen. We will be talking about it again because, as we said, there's still other cases to have to unfold before trial. All right, Avery Friedman, Richard Herman, thank you so much. Appreciate it. So much more straight ahead in the newsroom. We'll be right back.